10 evicted police precinct protesters block traffic in downtown Minneapolis and vow to recommit to a new campaign for justice. Plus a vigil for the victims of the mass shooting in San Bernardino.
Tonight, the challenges in pinpointing a motive behind the deadly attack. And a call for help in shaping the Major League Soccer stadium in St. Paul. Our top story, Black Lives Matter protesters take to city streets once again. Tonight, they marched to a political fundraiser in northeast Minneapolis, blocking traffic along the way. Earlier, about 200 protesters occupied Minneapolis City Hall Rotunda for 2 hours. They renewed their demands in the shooting of Jamar Clark, calling for video of the incident to be released. The protesters went back to familiar tactics on what they call a chokehold on the city, after police cleared their encampment from the 4th Precinct this morning. Lou Ragoose has been with them all night and joins us live with the latest. Lou?
Julie and Randy, we just didn't know what was going to happen tonight. We didn't know if the protesters would try to occupy City Hall and stay there beyond the 6 p.m. closing time. We didn't know if they would dare officers to arrest them by blocking traffic in the street. But in the end, it all ended right here at the Police Federation, which is completely cleared out right now, when the protesters decided to just go home at about 8 o'clock without any conflicts with police. No justice, no peace. It started as an afternoon of protest at City Hall, energized by their eviction from the 4th Precinct encampment. More than 200 people packed inside and chanted. In response to those sick of the protest, they held signs saying they're sick of racism. The protesters knew there would be arrests if they stayed in City Hall past 6 p.m. closing time. They think it's a joke. Before leaving, they marched to the underground tunnel to write on the wall of a credit union they believe supports the police department. They think it's a joke. Then they hit the streets, blocking traffic on Washington Avenue at Marquette, at Washington Avenue in Hennepin. Then they started crossing the Hennepin Avenue Bridge. We gon' be all right. We gon' be all right. Oh my God. Oh my God. The protesters thought they were headed to a police fundraiser at Elsie's in northeast Minneapolis. It turned out to be a political fundraiser for Sheriff Rich Stanek, nothing to do with Minneapolis police. From there, protesters marched to the Police Officers Federation and blocked University Avenue. Inside City Hall earlier, there were some impassioned speeches reminiscing about the 18-day occupation of Plymouth Avenue in front of the 4th Precinct, renewing their call for the release of video evidence in the shooting death of Jamar Clark, and basically letting everyone know that they haven't heard the last of the Black Lives Matter movement. We haven't heard a response tonight from Minneapolis police, but we're not aware of any arrests during the afternoon and evening protests. Randy and Julie, back to you.
All right, thank you, Lou.
Well, right now, a city in mourning as San Bernardino remembers 14 people gunned down at a holiday party. Within the past several hours, authorities released the names of those who were killed in yesterday's attack at a center for the developmentally disabled. The 8 men and 6 women were from Southern California and ranged in age from 26 to 60 years old.
There is still no word on a motive behind yesterday's attack. Saeed Farouk and his wife were not on any law enforcement agency's radar.
But information released today points more to terrorism as a likely component. NBC's Gina Kim has the new developments in the case.
The community of San Bernardino came together tonight to grieve for the 14 moms, dads, sons, and daughters who were killed, for the 21 people hurt or clinging to life, for the children and families affected by the worst shooting in America in 3 years. At the national Christmas tree lighting, President Obama said the nation grieves with them.
Their loss is our loss too, for we're all one American family.
A search of the suspect's home and car turned up thousands of rounds of ammunition, assault rifles, handguns, pipe bombs, and tools to make IEDs. But investigators say it is still too soon to determine a possible motive for the massacre. Tonight, the first officer to respond to the scene described his horror.
It was unspeakable, the carnage that we were seeing, the number of people who were injured and unfortunately already dead, and the pure panic on the face of those individuals.
Survivors also recounted their stories.
I laid on the floor and put my feet against the door, and I had the other gentleman beside me do the same. He wasn't going to be able to get in. I guess if he did, he'd been over our dead bodies.
More than anything, the community here wants to know why and how a quiet, hardworking man who recently became a father could be capable of such hate. In San Bernardino, Gina Kim, NBC News.
Sayed Farouk was born and raised in the U.S., but NBC has learned he has ties with people who had jihadist views. Very little is known about his Pakistani wife, who immigrated here last year. Yesterday's attack in San Bernardino was the 7th mass shooting in 5 months in the U.S. A mass shooting is defined as a killing that involves 4 or more people. Since 2006, there have been more than 200 mass shootings in this country, taking place about every 2 weeks. Our news partners at USA Today have an interactive map of the mass shootings since 2006, and we have a link to that map and other data behind the bloodshed for you to review if you want at KARE11.com.
Well, today the U.S. Senate voted down a measure that would have required background checks for all gun purchases online and at gun shows. Right now, background checks are only required for transactions from licensed gun dealers. Today, we reached out to every member of Minnesota's congressional delegation about the gun control debate. We have yet to hear back from any of the Republican representatives, but many of the Democrats we spoke to fell in line with President Obama's plea to expand background checks. Political analyst David Schultz said he does not see much changing in the near future.
Getting ready to go into the 2016 elections, I just don't see the political forces coming together at this point to be able to break the stalemate in Congress in terms of doing something.
You can have your voice heard. Just go to our website. There you'll find an email contact form and phone numbers for every member of Minnesota's congressional delegation.
New details tonight on a Minneapolis park shooting that injured a woman and her child. Sentencing is now set for February for 28-year-old Dante Peterson. Peterson recently pleaded guilty to firing a gun across the street from Peavy Park back in June. The Hennepin County attorney says Peterson was in a fight with a man and fired several shots. One of them injured a mother and her 15-month-old child. New tonight, a dog's discipline turns violent and lands a Blaine man in trouble with authorities. 43-year-old Kelly Korf has been charged with 1 count of animal cruelty. Police say they went to Kelly's home on Tuesday where they found his Yorkie with a bleeding eye and a possible broken orbital bone. The complaint says Kelly admitted to throwing the dog off the deck and onto a frozen pool after it relieved itself in the house.
We've learned the Minnesota Supreme Court ruled against a Crystal police officer who sued the department claiming discrimination. In its decision, the court said the department's discipline and termination were the result of Officer Alan Watt's own conduct, not discrimination. Watt was on paid administrative leave for more than a year. He and another officer claimed they were being punished for bringing up alleged corruption issues in the Crystal Police Department.
2, 1.
New at 10, President Barack Obama has jump-started the holiday season by lighting the national Christmas tree tonight.
But our winter wonderland here at home quickly melting. Laura's in the backyard with our first look at the forecast. Hi, Laura.
Hi there, Randy. Still very mild here at this time of night. Marshall's still at the freezing mark. We did spend quite a few hours above 32 today. That combined with the sunshine did a bit of melting, but there'll be more of that as we head through the weekend and really through the whole 7-day forecast. A good head start in the mid-20s tomorrow. We'll have us spending most of the day above freezing, shooting for the low 40s. Tomorrow, well above the average of 31 degrees. 42 then on Saturday, a few more clouds, less sunshine here for the first day of the weekend, but then headed into Sunday, 42 as well, and the bright sun comes back. There's more of this in the 7-day forecast to talk about here coming up, guys.
Sounds great. Thank you, Laura. Well, happening within the past hour, the U.S. House approved a 5-year, $305 billion bill to address the nation's aging and congested highways and bridges. The Senate also approved the measure. The bill assures states that federal help will be available for major projects. It now goes to the White House for the president's signature. The
legislative tug of war over how to spend a nearly $1.9 billion projected budget surplus is now underway. After putting some money into a reserve fund and paying off old debt, Lawmakers will have roughly about $1.2 billion when they return in March. Democrats and Republicans agree a package of tax cuts is on the table, but Governor Dayton says any relief needs to be matched with new money for early education.
The budget forecast really is a true opportunity, I think, for us to hit the reset button on the really big missed opportunities of 2015.
Unfortunately, I've heard a lot of talk today about things we can do to spend more money and things we can do to tax people more.
The governor admits the large surplus means his plan to raise the gas tax to pay for road and bridge repairs is dead. He also wants $100 million to go toward grants for broadband internet development in rural Minnesota.
The Minneapolis School Board completed interviews today with 3 finalists for the superintendent position. Interim Superintendent Michael Gore, Charles Faust, and Sergio Paz met with the parents and the public last night, and this morning they went before board members who plan to decide on their preferred candidate next Monday. The district hopes to have the new hire in place by the start of the new year. Still ahead at 10, pitching ideas.
St. Paul enters the next phase of bringing a new soccer stadium to town. Tonight, how community members are having their say as the project takes shape.
Plus, ready to compete, an Oakdale boxer prepares to enter the ring while wearing her religious headdress. A teenage Muslim boxer we first told you about in September will try to compete this week wearing her religious headscarf. Amaya Zafar tried to do so at a Duluth match this fall, but she didn't receive a waiver from the International Boxing Association in time. The 15-year-old will appear at a match in Minneapolis this Saturday, and if she's turned away, the Minnesota chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations says it will consider legal action. Well, momentum is mounting for a Major League Soccer stadium in St. Paul's Midway, and now the city is looking for ideas on redeveloping that area.
A community advisory committee would help city leaders make some key decisions. Jay Olstead has more on that tonight.
Thoughtful discussion.
It was the first of what is expected to be a lot of meetings designed to help shape Major League Soccer in St. Paul.
You see a cross-section of the whole community.
More than 200 people applied to be on this advisory committee, but only a couple dozen got the chance. They will now help with the development of a 35-acre site near Snelling and University, 10 acres of which will be the home of the new MLS stadium.
There are a lot of things that make this really perhaps the best site right now.
Bill McGuire is the principal owner of the new soccer franchise. His group has an agreement with St. Paul to build a $120 million stadium, which would be paid for with private money, but the site would remain tax-free. If all goes to plan, the team would play there in the spring of 2018.
We have to get this stuff wrapped up where MLS knows that we're going to be ready to play in 2018 in a new stadium.
The committee is made up of mostly people who live or work nearby. All were excited about the opportunity, but some had concerns, including how a stadium would impact the neighborhood.
The people that we've spoken with and have reached out to us are really excited about this.
Including, he says, the governor and legislative leaders on both sides of the aisle, which is key since they'll have to go along with any tax exemptions. In St. Paul, Jay Olstead, KARE 11 News.
McGuire says the stadium project will create 1,900 construction-related jobs.
Let's head outside to Laura Betker. If you love sunshine and warm temps, this is your forecast.
It is. It was a great day for that today, and there's a whole lot more, even warmer as we head through the 7-day forecast. Not a great forecast for winter lovers. But today, certainly we can all agree that there was a beautiful sunset. A few pictures here posted to us on Facebook, and we thank you. Keep those coming. We love to see them. Those high kind of just cluster of clouds made their way through, providing for a little variation in the color and some just great shots to look at, and again for all of us to enjoy. Those clouds have now moved out. We're looking at clear skies. It'll stay that way through the night, and clear skies tomorrow means a whole lot of sunshine yet again. We topped out at 35 today, so a little above average, but overall a fairly seasonal day for the beginning of December here in Minnesota. But we're 10 to 15 degrees above average as we head through the upcoming week. Across the state, really mostly in the mid-30s here, a little cooler where there's some more snow on the ground. Tomorrow, starting off at 26, maybe a little morning fog, but I don't think that should be too big of a deal. A little patchy in some locations, but overall a sunny day and up to 42 degrees. As we head through the day, most of the day will be spent above the freezing mark. So that means, yes, we had a little melting today. We're expecting a whole lot more of that tomorrow. The combination of south wind and sunshine is popping us up into the low 40s, and most of us reaching at least near 40, if not getting there, even up along the North Shore. Forecasts of 39 in Alexandria and Wilmer still have a chance to make it to that 40 degree mark. Really, everyone is kind of in the same boat there. But then we get into Saturday, and we will be looking at a few more clouds rolling through. So microcast will pick it up here Saturday morning, and the clouds are really starting to fill in. Much less sun on the first full day of the weekend, and a small chance for rain in the evening. Here's paused at 6 o'clock, and a boundary is making its way through, just bringing some very light showers. Not everyone's seeing rain on Saturday evening. The timing would be right around 10 o'clock in the Twin Cities if we do see any, but mostly you will just notice the increased cloud cover on Saturday. By Sunday at noon, those clouds are really breaking up, and we're in for another bright day, great day at the bank for Vikings fans at 42 degrees. But look at this, 42 is kind of the number of the week here. Really Monday at the warmest day of 44. It's a warm spell that we're headed in today. We made it to 36. And we're jumping up a little heat wave here through the week. These are the average temperatures, 31 today, down to 30, so a good 10 to 15 degrees above for the whole upcoming week. And we do have from the Climate Prediction Center, this matches up perfectly with their outlook of December, looking for a warm month, all the red. When it comes to precipitation, though, kind of nothing to really suggest any abnormal in terms of precipitation, either high or low. Certainly for this week, we are looking at a low risk, just a few sprinkles on Saturday, no other rain, no snow. On this 7-day forecast, some hints we'll be watching a week from tomorrow with the potential of a storm system making its way in, but it's dry, it's sunny, and it's 42.
I would say 42 seems to be your lucky number right
Yeah,
now.
I hope so.
Thanks, Laura.
Belle's off tonight so she can MC the Light Up the Night Gala for HCMC. This year, the event is shining light on mental illness. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, 1 out of every 5 Americans is affected by mental illness. The hospital is raising money for a resource center for family and friends who seek support for a loved one with mental illness, and HCMC also sponsors our Health Fair 11 as well. Sports is next. The Wild hosting the Maple Leafs tonight.
I just have to say, she looks gorgeous.
She did.
Doesn't she?
Always.
And Dave Schwartz brings us another edition of Two in the Box. It's the goalie edition, next in sports.
KARE 11 Sports from the Mayo Clinic Sports Medicine Sports Desk.
For an NHL-leading 4th time this season, Devan Dubnyk posts a shutout. The result is another win for the Wild, who appear to be getting their groove back, thankfully. Power play winding down, second period, and that's when the Wild get it out to Matt Dumba, who gets so much space he can actually wind up with that wicked slapper of his. Poor net. 1-0 home team stays that way until the third. Toronto gets what appears to be the equalizer, but upon further review, Peter Holland's goal disallowed because it turns out the Leafs were offside. Ball game. Dubnyk, 28 saves. Wild host the Avs on Saturday. And perfect timing. Doobie is the subject of this week's Two in the Box, where we find out just how well Wild players know each other. His partner tonight, backup netminder Darcy Kemper. Doobie and Darcy might as well make it 3D, so we throw in Dave.
Finally, we get the most interesting guys on the hockey team, the goalies. Devan Dubnyk, Darcy Kemper. You guys haven't played together that long, so how well do you think you know each other at this point?
I know absolutely nothing about him.
Same?
Yeah, well, pretty much.
True or false, Devan Dubnyk was once named CHL Scholastic Player of the Year. True or false?
I want to say false, but I think it's probably true. It's hard to see Doobie as a smart guy, but I'll give it to him. Obviously, it's true.
Was a drummer in a band in high school.
False. It doesn't look like a drummer.
Wow. So you're not smart, and you're not a drummer. We've established all these. Is it true or false?
Wow, first of all. It's false. However,
I was a drummer in my own band when Rock Band came out.
He once had a song written about him that was broadcast on TSN.
True.
Doobie doobie doo.
Doobie doobie doo.
Yeah.
We should have never doubted you.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of doubt from TSN too. Significant amount of doubt there. So
Devin Dubnyk, when he was younger, had a pet squirrel.
False.
Why false?
You can't really have a pet squirrel. He might have thought it was a pet, but you can't really domesticate a squirrel.
I can't beat this guy.
Good job, Darcy.
Thank you.
True or false? Darcy Kemper is a genius.
True.
NCAA Division II volleyball regional quarterfinal action tonight in St. Paul, where Concordia St. Paul takes down Southwestern Oklahoma State. Maria Sampson with the kill. 3-0 sweep. They'll play Central Oklahoma tomorrow night, 7 p.m. in the semifinals. Finally, this video from a viewer. With a 1/10 of a second left in the game, the Tartan B Bantams beat White Bear Lake when Brandon Blank takes a shot from the opposite blue line. Oh, and it sneaks in.
Oh my gosh.
Somehow ties the game.
Oh my gosh, that poor goalie.
0.1 second left.
Oh.
There you go.
That poor goalie.
My heart breaks for that goalie.
It breaks for my goalie, but oh my gosh, what a shot.
Yeah.
Very good. Well done.
I'm sorry.
I know.
Up next, a couple of ways you can give back in a big way this holiday season.
There's always a next game, right? We'll be right back. There's another opportunity for you to double your donation to the Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign. Tomorrow, Thrivent Financial will match every dollar up to $75,000. It's the largest corporate match ever for the Salvation Army. The campaign still needs to raise more than $9 million to meet its goal.
Well, tomorrow also marks the start of this year's Toys for Tots campaign here at KARE 11. We're once again teaming up with the U.S. Marines to gather new unwrapped toys for kids this holiday season. You can drop off donations at our big white tent in the KARE 11 front yard here at Golden Valley, and Toys for Tots will run from tomorrow until December 19th.
Always fun to see that tent fill up. Empty now, but it won't take long.
It won't take long.
Thanks
Hopefully
for
not.
watching.
Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow.